You became the strong one the day you realized no one else was going to be. No ceremony, no announcement, just a quiet understanding that if you didn't hold it together, everything else might fall apart. You were the calm voice in chaos, the rational one in arguments, the dependable one when things got messy. And somewhere along the way, people stopped asking if you were okay. But who checks on the person everyone depends on? At first, it felt good. Being needed feels powerful. Being the reliable one feels important. You were the one friends called at 2 a.m., the one who solved problems, the one who gave advice that sounded wiser than your age. You wore strength like armor. But armor is heavy, and the longer you wear it, the harder it becomes to take off. What happens when the strong one gets tired? You learned early that your emotions were secondary. Maybe your family relied on you to be mature. Maybe you watched others fall apart and decided you wouldn't. Maybe you were praised for not crying, for handling things, for staying composed. So you did, over and over again. You swallowed your feelings. You carried responsibilities that weren't yours. You became the safe place for everyone else. But where was your safe place? People admire strength. They applaud it. They say things like, "I don't know how you do it," or "You're so strong." And you smile, you nod, you keep going. But what they don't see is that strength for you wasn't a choice. It was survival. You didn't wake up wanting to carry everyone's weight. You just never felt like you had permission to put it down. What if your strength was born from necessity, not desire? Being the strong one means you rarely get to fall apart. When you show even a crack, people look confused. Struggling? It's as if you're not allowed to be human. As if you've been assigned a permanent role, and roles are hard to escape. So you hold it in. You cry in private. You process alone. You fix yourself before anyone notices you were breaking. How long can someone hold everything in before it spills over? There's a loneliness that comes with being the strong one, a quiet isolation. You're surrounded by people, yet no one truly sees you. They see your stability, not your stress, your advice, not your anxiety, your calmness, not the chaos you hide. And over time, you stop sharing. Not because you don't want to, but because you don't know how. You've trained yourself to be the support system, not the supported. When did you decide your pain was less important than everyone else's? You answer calls even when you're drained. You show up even when you're exhausted. You listen to everyone's problems while silently battling your own. And when you finally feel overwhelmed, you tell yourself, "It's not that bad. Other people have it worse." You minimize your pain because you've mastered endurance. But endurance without release becomes emotional suffocation. What if the strong one is actually the most exhausted person in the room? The hardest part? No one forces you to be strong anymore. You do it automatically. You fix, you manage, you anticipate problems before they happen. You read the room, you adjust, you carry. It's muscle memory now. But underneath that control is a quiet fear. If you stop being strong, will people still need you? Will they still value you? Is your strength protecting you or trapping you? Sometimes you wish someone would insist on helping you, that someone would see past the composed exterior and say, "You don't have to do this alone." But you've built your identity around resilience, and identities are hard to rewrite. So you keep performing stability, even when you crave softness. Even when you wish you could collapse without consequences. What if you've confused being needed with being loved? There are nights when it hits you. The weight, the fatigue, the realization that you've been holding your breath emotionally for years. You replay conversations, responsibilities, expectations. You think about how many times you said, "I've got it," when you didn't. And for a moment, you feel angry. Angry that no one noticed. angry that you didn't speak up, angry that strength became your cage. When did being strong stop feeling empowering and start feeling heavy? You start to see the pattern. The reason you struggle to rest, the reason you feel guilty for slowing down, the reason asking for help feels unnatural. You were rewarded for being self-sufficient. So now, vulnerability feels like failure. But vulnerability isn't weakness, and honesty is terrifying when you've spent years pretending you're unbreakable. What if the bravest thing the strong one can do is admit they're tired? There's a difference between strength and suppression. Real strength allows emotion. Suppression hides it. You've been suppressing. You've been carrying grief you never processed, pressure you never released, expectations you never agreed to. And your body feels it. The tension in your shoulders, the exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, the quiet resentment you don't talk about. Your strength has been expensive. How much has it cost you to keep it together? Imagine what would happen if you let someone see you without the armor. If you said, "I'm not okay." If you allowed yourself to be supported instead of always supporting. It feels uncomfortable, almost wrong. But maybe that discomfort is growth. Maybe the strong one doesn't need to stop being strong. Maybe they just need to redefine what strength means. What if strength includes softness? You begin with something small. You admit you're overwhelmed. Not dramatically, just honestly. And instead of the world collapsing, something unexpected happens. Someone listens. Someone steps up. Someone reminds you that you don't have to carry everything alone. And in that moment, you feel lighter. Not weak, lighter. Because strength shared becomes sustainable. What if you were never meant to hold it all by yourself? Being the strong one isn't a flaw, it's a gift. But gifts can turn into burdens when boundaries are missing. You can still be dependable without being depleted. You can still be resilient without being rigid. You can still be strong without being silent. The pain of being the strong one doesn't come from strength itself. It comes from believing you're not allowed to rest from it. So the next time someone calls you strong, don't just smile and nod. Ask yourself a different question. Not, how can I handle more, but who can help me carry this? Because even the strongest people need support. Even the calmest person has storms, and even the strong one deserves to be held. What if your real strength isn't in carrying everything, but in finally putting some of it down? Like, subscribe, and join our journey into timeless depth. Share your thoughts below.